So we can start. Good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Kudrat. You're welcome back again to my YouTube channel where we discuss different scholarship opportunities amongst other different interesting topics. And today I have a Mastercard scholarship awardee who has been a Mastercard scholarship awardee, and he'll be discussing Mastercard scholarship processes and benefits to study at the University of British Columbia in Canada. So let us go to the introduction. Thank you so much, Ola, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Okay, so you can introduce yourself now. Your name, universities attended, state of origin, and anything you feel like sharing with us. Let's go.
Okay, so my name is Olaoluwa Igbala Jobi. I attended Federal University of Technology, Akure, in Nigeria. I studied agricultural and environmental engineering for my bachelor's degree. At the University of British Columbia, I was a Mastercard scholar and I studied Master of Land and Water Systems. I'm from Ekiti State, Nigeria. Is there any other thing?
I think that's fine.
Okay.
So how will you describe Mastercard scholarship?
On a broader perspective, I think the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship is a very kind of unique scholarship in the sense that it's a foundation itself. Mastercard is a foundation itself, so they have partnership with different schools, different institutions that are not even academic institutions across the world. So the partnership with the University of British Columbia, it's an academic one in the sense that they sponsor you for academic related programs. In my case, as I mentioned earlier, I was sponsored for the Master of Land and Water Systems for my master's degree. This scholarship is a fully funded program, which means you get all of your expenses sorted right from the visa processing stages. Your flight is covered. When you land in Canada, you get a startup stipend. You get monthly upkeep, which is usually like mostly at the beginning of each term. Basically, anything you can think should be your basic need would be funded by Mastercard. So it's a very unique one. And what I haven't mentioned here is that at the time of application, even if you do not have a passport, international passport, after being awarded, your passport will be paid for by Mastercard. It's so if you are applying, I'm just chipping this in that if you're applying and you think you don't have the funds or means to pay for an international passport at this moment, while the application is currently on, I can assure you it doesn't affect your chances. So don't be so scared about whether I should apply for this or it's just a waste of time. No, it's not. So whatever you think should be paid for, whatever you think should cross your mind as your fees would be covered by Mastercard. So it's a very unique opportunity. And I mentioned again, your visa, your flights, everything is covered. One more thing is that your flight is a to and fro flight, which means you'll be sponsored down to the country where you're studying and back to your home country if you wish to return.
That's interesting. Thank you so much for stating the passport part, because most of the scholarship opportunities require you to have a passport as a means of identification. So thank you so much. So another question would be that apart from the University of British Columbia in Canada, what are the other universities you are aware of where Mastercard scholarship is awarded apart from UBC?
So off the top of my head, I know Mastercard has a partnership with academic institutions in almost every continent around the world. In North America here, in Canada to be specific, University of British Columbia, Vancouver, it's one of the partner institutions. There's McGill University in Quebec. It's also in Canada. There's University of Toronto. That's another partner university. in the US, I know of Arizona State University, University of California, Berkeley. In Asia, I think Lebanon belongs to Asia. So in Lebanon, there's American University of Beirut. In the UK, there's University of Edinburgh. There is I think in 2022 or 2023, there was maybe a brief or an ongoing partnership with University of Cambridge or Oxford. So in Africa, our own Africa, there's African Institute of Mathematical Sciences, AIMS, in Rwanda. There's Ashesi University in Ghana. I don't know if I pronounced that right. There's KUNST in Ghana as well, one of the partner institutions. So going down south in Africa, there's University of Pretoria, there's University of Cape Town, UCT. So this foundation they are just out there to help people they think are financially disadvantaged in any way, but you have to be academically talented. You have to have leadership skills to offer. These track records have to be there, but you can believe me, they have a wide range of partner institutions. So these are these are from the top of my head. If you go to the Mastercard website or you just run a simple Google search and press Mastercard Foundation, put partners in front of it, there's a sure link that will pop up in your first or second search results, which would take you to the exact website where they have all their partner institutions. And like I mentioned, all these institutions that I've just mentioned, they are the academic institutions. So Mastercard has partnership with so many other institutions that are not even academic at all. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you. And another interesting part is that Mastercard even have the partner with some universities, the graduate scholarship. I'm aware of the USIU in Nairobi, Kenya. It is for undergraduate scholarship, so you can look it up on their website. The next question will be that is there any age limit for applying for Mastercard to study at UBC?
Yes, as far as I'm aware of, if you are 35 years or younger at the time of application, so if you are applying in 2024, you should have been born in 1989 or after 1989. So that means 89, 90, 91. If you were born in 1988, it doesn't matter the months. Even if your birthday is December and you were born in 1998, so if that means you should be clocking 36 in December and the application closes, your birthday comes after the application closes, you'll still be considered 36-year-old. So as far as year 2024 is concerned, 1989 rather, or younger would be the age limit at the University of British Columbia. So you have to check with other institutions. You have to check their website to know if there's age restrictions for every other institution. And this restriction is because it's at the master's education level. So for the undergraduate program, there's probably a younger age limit. I can't tell for certain, but I know for the University of British Columbia, it's 35 or younger. You're muted. I think there's some sort of network issues. I'm not sure if this is from my end. Well, okay.
Oh, so you can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can see you.
So apart from the age, there are some scholarship opportunities that require you to win or apply for the opportunities within some years after graduation. For instance, the DAAD scholarship to Germany, if you graduated 7 years ago, you won't be allowed, you are not eligible for DAAD. It should be within 6 years from your graduation till the period of application. So does this count for Mastercard scholarship application to UBC too? Do they look at when you graduated?
As far as I know, there's no requirement like that. Oh, I think I lost. Okay, Kudra is in the stream. So as far as I know, there's no age. Hello, can anyone hear me? I think I have to wait for Kudrat to be back on the live stream. From my end, I just lost Kudrat for a bit, so I would have to wait for her to reconnect before I continue giving my response.
Okay, okay, you can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Into the processes. As an applicant, do I need to get admission first before applying for the scholarship, or both procedures are together as one single application?
I think this would be specific each year, but for the year 2024, because the reason I said this could be specific for each year is that they might modify the process for each year. So if you are planning to apply in 2025 or 2026, don't take it for maybe you're watching the video in 2 years' time. Don't just think, oh, back in 2024, this is the process. So you still need to check out, do your due diligence for the year you're applying for. But for year 2024, uh, the process is that you check your eligibility first. There's a unique link where you have to answer some basic questions about yourself, your program you're applying for, and maybe about your economic background. When you answer those questions, then you get a response email to go ahead and apply for the scholarship. After, there's a separate application for the scholarship itself. So the separate application would be there's the attaching transcripts, filling the application form, providing your references, academic resume. There's that part for the scholarship. After that part, then there's a communication to you to go ahead and apply for the admission. So there's a separate admission process for University of British Columbia and a separate admission or application for process for Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. After you are done, in most cases, after you're done with applying for the Mastercard scholarship, you are submitting your response directly to a particular email. Then you get a feedback email telling you, yes, they've received your application package. You can go ahead and apply for the admission at University of British Columbia. Then you create you create an account on the page, fill in the questionnaire for the admission process. Then separately, your application for admission will be considered and your scholarship application will be considered separately. So there is the Faculty of Graduate uh, Postdoctoral Studies, I think. It's called G plus PS or something like that, at the University of British Columbia that handles the admission process, while the Mastercard has their own unique team that handles your scholarship application separately. So they are not working hand in hand. They are two separate entities. So they have two different processes to sum it up.
Okay, thank you for that, because I noticed that some scholarship require just one single application. For instance, Erasmus just need a single application to sort both both admission and scholarship. So that's fine. So the next question would be that what are the documents apart from transcript, apart from the certificate, the recommendation letter? What other requirements are needed for the applications?
So for the Mastercard Foundation application itself, on the website, it's expressly stated that you need your transcript. That will be your student's transcript or official one. Whatever you can lay your hands on is fine at the stage of application. So it doesn't matter whether you have the official transcript or the student copy. You can use that. There is the personal statement. So this personal statement, at the time I applied, was divided into 5 sections where you have to write a minimum of or maximum rather of 300 words each in each category. So these questions, they've already stated what you are being assessed on. So if you have, for instance, if you have a unique way of answering questions or personal statements, you have to look out for what Mastercard is asking from you. So if they're telling you what's different about you, you don't tell them your academic profile. You have to wait and read through the other questions if there's a different place where they're asking you about your academic profile. There's another place where they're asking you about your community development or community involvement experience. This is a place where you come in and talk about if you're a leader of any NGO. It could be an NGO, you could be a leader, you could just be a member, but you need to here expressly state your role. I just lost Kudirat again. I will have to wait for some. Can you confirm you're back?
I'm with you.
Okay. So for the personal statement, again, there's the 5 different sections, as far as I know, for the personal statement category. It's a separate document. This year, there's a specific instruction saying your personal statement shouldn't be in essay format. So again, if you are used to writing essays for scholarship, this year, you need to look out for the instruction that says, do not let your personal statement be in essay format. Another document that I know you would need would be 2 references. These references don't have to be exactly academic. They could be academic, but there are many programs that are not even academic in nature. They are kind of professional programs at the University of British Columbia. It's an academic degree, but the program itself, the nature is not a research program. So it's more like a professional experience program. So this kind of programs, if you have a professional reference in this case, that could suffice. But if you do have academic references, again, you are not against the law. Another thing I know you need will be your academic CV or resume. In this case, when I say academic, it means you shouldn't, even though you're applying for a course that looks like it's more like a professional degree, you shouldn't load them up with your work and work and work. It's an academic program you are still applying for eventually. So you have to tailor your application in a way, your resume, your CV in a way that makes it look like you are applying for an academic program. Another document I know, which is the most important component now, would be the actual MCF, Mastercard Foundation rather, MCF application package form. So this form will be emailed to you after you have gone through the, what's it called? After you've done the mini survey. Like I said, the first step would be to feel like a mini questionnaire about yourself, about your unique situations. If Mastercard is going to acknowledge that questionnaire or survey you've taken, then they email you the complete application package. So this complete application package is where they've asked so many questions about yourself, about your situation, about your financial background or economic situation. So you must realize that this document is your most important document. So you don't want to miss out any detail at all. This is not a form where they will tell you this is required or not. Just make sure you look at every thing asked very well. If it's not very clear, you can always reach out to people who can help, but don't assume. And one thing you must do with this application is you must be truthful. You must be truthful with your application. So they're telling you, okay, what's your academic or economic situation? You don't have to go all out to tell them you are the poorest in your country. There's a metric for measuring how poor people are. The scholarship is aiming, fine, it's aiming people who are economically disadvantaged, but that shouldn't be the forefront of your story. Like you don't want to come and tell them, oh, you haven't eaten for 3 days, even though they're asking about your economic situation. You shouldn't be putting it there that just was realistic. Put your exact situation there. If you're going to be considered for it, you'll be considered. The fact that you have attended a private institution, for instance, while talking about your economic background doesn't mean you won't be considered, even though they are talking about economically disadvantaged people to sponsor. So I've seen a person, a former scholar who attended a private institution and was still awarded. And as far as a Nigerian is concerned, if someone refers to a federal university or a state university versus a private university, you can tell that you have to have some amount with you. But you could talk about how this education was funded, if that's the right thing. So if the education wasn't actually funded by actual means, maybe luckily enough, you got some scholarship in the past that made you be able to afford that school, then you should include it there that this was the institution you attended. Even though the fees seem on the high side, I'm still at economic disadvantage at the moment. So that's it.
Nice. As a final year student, can I apply? Like as a before graduation, can I apply?
Yes, you can. At the time you're applying, your transcript in this case would be your statement of results up until the most recent academic semester. And you need to make sure that your final results would be out before the start of your program. So if you're applying in 2024, you must make sure that by your calculations, your final results would be out before August 2025, because you'll probably be resuming your program in August 2025. So you need to make sure that there's a way you can get your official academic transcript sent before your program starts. So if this is your current uh, final year, if you're currently in your final year rather, then give it a shot. You never can tell.
I love to ask a particular question to motivate people and to give people hope. And the question will be that, was it the only scholarship application you submitted, or you applied for many?
Okay, so I'll just run you through my scholarship application experience for master's program outside Nigeria. I finished my bachelor's degree in 2018. In 2019, January, I got in contact with a former Commonwealth shared scholar who told me, have I applied for Commonwealth? I was like, no, I'm looking to serve Nigeria first. Then I would make applications to it. I was like, what if you get it this year and you decide not to go? You would already have the experience. So that year, 2019, January, between January and March, when the application closed in, I gave our Commonwealth Shared Scholarship a shot. I was able to apply to 5 schools, if I remember correctly. Out of the 5 schools, I got a reserve position. Sorry, I applied to 8 schools, 2019. I applied to 8 schools. It was the following year I applied to 5 Commonwealth schools. I applied to 8 schools. I got a reserved second or first reserve position in one of the schools. So why I said second first was that there was a nominee, there was a first reserve, and I was the second reserve for the course. Then the nominee had already gotten Erasmus, so he opted for Erasmus. So the first person was upgraded as the nominee, so I became the first reserve for the program. So that was the only shot I got in my first application year. Then in the second year, the second application cycle, which was the first application cycle was 2018-19. Now the second application cycle, which was 2019-2020, I applied for Commonwealth Shared again, this time 5 schools. I applied for Erasmus, 2 different programs. I applied for PTDF. If you're from Nigeria, you should know Petroleum Technology Development Fund. I don't know if they're still rolling out applications, but in 2019, I applied for PTDF. I also applied for the Mastercard. At the time, University of British Columbia was the only Mastercard program I applied for, and it was my first shot. But the experience I'd gotten from applying for Commonwealth Shared Scholarship the previous year, I think was very pivotal when I was making up my application, when I was putting together my application rather. It was very pivotal in this sense. Before the application period came out, I already knew how to write personal statements. I already knew what to anticipate. I already knew what documents to look forward to, and it made me conscious already that I was expecting an application coming up. So again, when I was first reserved for Commonwealth Share Scholarship, in a way, it felt like maybe I could have gotten it. It didn't. At some point, it felt like, oh, I was very close because I was moved from second reserve to first reserve. At the time, the first reserve was also close to getting another scholarship. So I was very close, thinking, oh, if this person gets the other scholarship, when you are more prayerful about someone else than the other person themselves, the person wanted the other scholarship more, thought they were going to get it, and then I became even more prayerful than the person, hoping they could get it. But sometimes whether it's fate or it's luck, whatever you believe in, or it's God, again, I won't underestimate that part. Some things have been written. So I was that very close to Commonwealth Shared in 2018-2019 application cycle. So in 2019-2020 now, when I applied for Mastercard Foundation at University of British Columbia, I applied for 5 schools under Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. I got reserved position in 2 schools. One of the schools was, again, the school that reserved me in the previous year. This time I was outright first reserve. Then the other school also made me their first reserve for a different program. For Erasmus, the 2 programs I applied to, I didn't get any feedback. I think for Erasmus, once you don't get any feedback, at some point, you can assume you haven't been selected. But later on, after gotten my Mastercard approved, then Erasmus reached out. Either one of the program or both reached out that I wasn't selected for that year. By the time, it didn't matter anymore because I'd been reached out to by University of British Columbia that I got the Mastercard scholarship.
Thank you for sharing your story. Is there a particular grade? Maybe I've graduated with a particular grade. What can you say? Do you know any grade score that Mastercard and UBC look for in applicants?
Okay. As far as I can tell, Mastercard is not only targeted towards Nigerian students, so you can have that in your mind. It's to sub-Saharan Africa. From my interaction with scholars, I've seen that people who do not necessarily, there are countries that do not necessarily use the first class, second class grade system of Nigeria. So by classification, you can tell that some of the scholars, the grade they eventually graduated with at the undergraduate level wasn't the equivalent of a first class if you convert it to Nigerian standard. And as a Nigerian, there was a scholar in my set who obviously did not finish with first class either, but the person was selected. So one thing I would always tell people is Mastercard, there's no part of their website where it's stated that you have to have finished with maybe 100% of your CGPA or 10% of, there's no part where it is stated. So you can have that at the back of your mind. You must understand that your scholarship application is rated on different categories. You have the references that will be scored. They need to know how your referees assess you. They need to know your transcript. Your transcript is just telling your academic story, like, oh, this is how you have done over the years with your academics. Sometimes you might not even have done well, maybe in your starting point when you were starting out at your undergrad level. But if they can see the trend that at the tail end of your program, you put in the effort, even though you didn't finish with maybe the top grade, in this case, the first class, you might be selected. So it shows that you are someone who doesn't give up. Maybe you started with a 2.5, and in subsequent year, you got a 4.6. In another year, you got a 3.8. And from there, you just kept it up on 4 point and above. You can say that, okay, even though this person fluctuated at the beginning, towards the tail end, this person was a bit more consistent. So this is a person that doesn't give up. You need to realize that graduate school is not majorly about how well you've done in your undergrad. When you get to master's level, you are going to be starting on the same point. If you finish with the first class, you are going to be starting on the same point with someone who finished with a 2.2. That's a second class lower in the Nigerian grade system, or even a 2.1. So that's, again, second class upper. Sorry for this, because I know my audiences might not just be from Nigeria. So don't limit yourself with the grade you finished with. That's the summary of my word. Like, don't limit yourself. Give it your best shot. Your personal statement is part of your story. You are going to be graded on your personal story. Your transcripts, you never can tell. It's just like saying you are trying to solve a matrix and you are assigning weights to different criterion. So you never can tell what weight is attached to your transcript. Say everything is going to be summed up at 100%. Like Erasmus will tell you, oh, this person finished with 76% and this with 76.5. So 76.5 topos. Your transcript might only have 20%. I said might only have 20%. So don't take it from me that I said transcript is only 20%. I'm putting that disclaimer. I'm just using random weights here. Like your transcript might be the most be the criterion with the most weight, and it might be the one with the least. You never can tell. Only the scholarship committee, selection committee can determine that. So when you're putting up your references, when you're putting up your personal statement, give you your best shot, because you don't know what weight has been assigned to each criterion. Imagine they've tried to find a way to make everything uniform and say your transcript is 25%, your reference is 25%, your personal statement 25%, and somehow your resume too is there and your application form, and somehow you've said, oh, your transcript is, you already have 4.9 your transcript. So because of that, you are a bit like lackadaisical about your references. Someone with less CGPA, say 4.1, might topple you just because they scored better in references, in personal statements. So don't take any chances. Give it your best shot with everything you are feeling, including your application form. Your CGPA is just a number as far as application is concerned. I know sometimes we might be inclined to point out to the number of people who have done extremely well academically, maybe at undergrad level. Oh, this year they selected I'm saying, for instance, I'm not sure, but I'm saying maybe you've looked at that and say, oh, most of the people I know this year are first class only. So let me not just disturb myself. You never can tell if you're going to be the second class upper or second class lower that will be in the next set. So give it your best shot.
Thank you so much for stating that, because I've heard so many things. I've heard so many applicants say they just want first class graduates. They don't. I don't need to. I don't need to try. So the next question would be: do you think English proficiency letter, like so many application opportunities require, do you think they need IELTS? Do you think they need English language letter from their universities? What do you know about English proficiency?
Firstly, I think the country you're applying for might make a difference here, and the school you attended for your bachelor's degree will also make another difference. So, say for instance, you are from a basically French-speaking country. The official language in your country is French, and your education was taught in French. You might be required to provide an English language test just to make sure you are able to comprehend the level of English language where your master's degree will be taught in. Now, if you attended a school where your bachelor's was taught in English and your official language in the country is French, you might also have a different situation. So in each instances, you need to check with the program you are applying for. So I'll make something clear here. Said at the start that there's a separate application for the Mastercard Foundation and a separate one to the University of British Columbia, which is the admission process. Mastercard will only handle your application for scholarship. Your English language test is handled by the University of British Columbia. So they are checking that, are you admissible? Would you comprehend what you are taught, what you are going to be taught at your master's level in the way it's going to be taught? So in my own case, I'll point out my case. Nigeria, English language is our official language. So my bachelor's degree, all of my education basically was taught in English language. The only way I needed to prove my English proficiency was to get a letter of proficiency in English language from my home university to show that my undergraduate program was taught in English language. And that was enough, as in my own case. So your own case might be different. That's why I said, check with the program you're applying for. When you're applying, say, I'm applying for Master of International Forestry this year, I'll write to the department and say, my name is Michael, or my name is Olalua. I finished from this university and this is my country of origin. Do you think I need English language tests, or what would suffice in this case to prove my English proficiency? So in most cases, you get a response from the department to say, oh, you need an English test because of your situation, or just get the letter, like in my case, from your university, and that would be enough. So check with your program. That's what I would say.
Yeah, the next question would be, with your interaction with other scholarship awardees at UBC, do you think any of the program or department require GRE or GMAT?
From my interaction, I would say no. On the school website, University of British Columbia, there's a general admission requirements, and then they'll put it there that check department or program specific requirements. So there's the general admission requirement and there's the program specific requirements. For program specific requirements, most of the programs that are advertised this year, Master of Land and Water Systems, Master of Food and Resource Economics, Master of Food Science, Master of Data Science, Master of International Forestry, Master of Sustainable Forest Management, Master of Science in Forestry, and Master of Geomatics for Environmental Management. All of the 8 programs that are advertised this year, none of it requires GRE or GMAT as a compulsory requirement for admission at the University of British Columbia. One of the things you always have to prove is your English proficiency, and that's what I just addressed in the previous question.
For the application, do I need to pay any application fee as an applicant?
Okay, so when you're applying, the first page where you'll be welcomed is the Mastercard page. So if you say Mastercard Foundation Scholarship at the University of British Columbia, the first website where you'll be welcomed is a page where they've given this very instruction. There are countries that they classify as the least developed countries. So if your country of origin is part of the 50 least developed countries, you automatically, again, when you are filling your application process, you would have selected your country of origin. The system in a way detects that your country belongs to this 50 least developed countries. I don't have the list of least developed country off the top of my head. In year 2019, when I was applying for scholarship, Nigeria was already removed. Nigeria used to be part of 50 least developed country, as far as I remember, but in year 2019, Nigeria was already removed. So in this case, Mastercard says on their website, if your country is not a part, what you need to do is write a request for fee waiver. There is a request for fee waiver. So the process is already there. You just need to read through. The process to a request for a fee waiver is there. Like in my case, what I needed to do was write through Mastercard to reach out to the admission committee that I need a fee waiver, because you won't be able to submit your admission application except you've paid the fee. So if the fee is waived, you will see the submit button. If the fee is not waived, the submit button will not be a clickable button for you. So what I'm trying to say here is, if your country is part of the 50 least developed countries, you automatically get a fee waiver. If it's not, you have to request for a fee waiver by writing an email through the Mastercard, and then you get the response to go ahead and submit your application, because they would have removed that fee waiver option. If for any reason you're in a unique situation where you can't get a request for a fee waiver in time, if you have the means, please pay. Mastercard has stated that your application fee will not be refunded. It's on their website this year that if you go ahead to pay for the fee instead of requesting for a waiver, they would not refund you. It's stated on the website, but you never can tell. I have a friend whose situation was that they had to pay their fee by themselves, because they found out last minute that they needed to pay a fee and there wasn't enough time to request for fee waiver and get feedback. Because if you request for fee waiver, you never can tell how many days it takes the Mastercard to reach out, and you might be very close on the deadline. So if you find out a day to the deadline that you have to pay for the fee, if you have the means, please pay. In this case, the friend paid, and the person is a former Mastercard scholar as of today. So imagine the person had thought to themselves that I don't have this fee, or they had it at the point and they felt, oh, others got fee waiver, why do I have to pay for this? They probably would have also missed the opportunity in that year. So again, if you have the means, go ahead and pay. If you are from 50 least developed country, it's automatically waived. If you are not, you request for a fee waiver.
Wow, that's interesting. Is there any particular CV format for the application?
So to respond directly to the letter of your question, is there any particular CV format? No. But your CV has to be an academic CV. So again, you are applying to an academic institution and you are applying to an academic program. The academic program in this case, even though you say, for instance, you are taking a program that is a non-thesis based, it's still an academic program. So what you should do in this case is read up online how to write an academic CV or how to write an academic resume. In my own case, I always make sure one thing I do is I'll put it there, how to write an academic resume for the University of British Columbia master's degree. There is a chance that someone has put up a template online that would tell you how your CV should look. Sometimes if I'm applying to a country, I'll say how to write academic CV for universities in Canada. I could say how to write academic CV for, I'll put my program there specifically. Some may have put up a template for whatever reason. Again, don't copy someone else's work verbatim. Don't just replace word for word. You are looking at how an academic CV should look like. You've probably been applying for only jobs before now, but now you need to apply for an academic program. So there's a way that your CV has to look. Your CV should be pointing to highlight of your programs of your bachelor program. So in this case, your CV should be pointing to maybe there were courses that align specifically with the new program you're applying for, and you did very well. You might point it out like, oh, I took a course on soil science, and I'm applying for a Master of Soil Science. When I took a course in soil science in my undergrad level, I had an 89%. You might point it out in your academic CV. So this gives the person evaluating your academic resume the nod that this person has been doing well with their academics before now. And in the places they've been doing well particularly, it's also aligning with the program they're applying for. So you can be putting there in a normal work resume that you had 89% in a soil science course. You probably, except you are applying for a research position in soil science. But if you're just applying for a job in the industry, there are things that you probably won't have to point out in your academic resume that you need to point out when applying for a scholarship.
Yeah, thank you. So because we have few programs, I think we have up to 7, 8 programs for the Mastercard scholarship. For someone who studied animal science, how do they choose the program? How do they select the program? Because we have few, how do they select? Because I got
So,
confused with the question.
first things first, you must realize that not every scholarship would be for you. It's a fact. It's a reality. Is a reality that you have to face. That eventually, oh, my undergrad program has no link at all with this program. Don't forget, I'm not discouraging you to not apply. You can always give it a shot. It could also encourage you to want to apply for other programs. But what I'm saying here is eventually not every program is for you. That's the reality. But now, if you studied, say, animal science and you're not sure what program to apply for, what I would encourage you to do, scholarship application is like a full-time work on its own. So you shouldn't take it as what you can jump in your free time, like, oh, I think I have some time. Let me use 1 hour to look at this thing. And then 2 weeks after, you're like, oh, I have another 1 hour. It doesn't work like that. So you need to do a serious background work. In my own case, I always use myself as an example. In my own case, whenever I needed to apply for any program, if I don't have anyone who has applied for the program who has my direct background, what I'll do is I'll go to the website of that school. I'll go and check out the course. I'll look at the course. So don't let something like Master of Land and Water System fool you. You might eventually check the modules of that program, and most of the things you'll be doing relates with what you have done in animal science. What I'm saying here is that I'm not saying if you did animal science, Master of Land and Water System at UBC is your program. I'm saying you might find out that the generic name used for a program is not the way you thought it is in your undergrad. So in undergrad level, you have agricultural engineering, you have civil engineering. At the master's level, they may pick one of the topics you took in one course and turn it to a program here. So you need to be specific and go into details and check, oh, this course, what are they even going to be teaching? Does it align with my own unique vision? Like in my own case, I studied land and water system. From my agricultural and environmental engineering background, I took a lot of courses on soil, on the land regime, on water bodies, on hydrology, on hydraulics. So I knew I had enough link. That was very obvious. But there are some programs that when you want to apply for them, the name doesn't sound like anything you have done before. When you open it up, you find out that everything that is going to be taught under that program is just one of your courses in undergrad level. So you need to do the background work to make sure you pick each program. If you study animal science and you see data science, you might say, oh, what is the data going to be on? Eventually, you might find out that one of the courses you took under your animal science might be related to your data science program. If you pick food science, the same thing. For instance, if you finish from Federal University of Technology, Accra in Nigeria, and you did food science and technology, when you're applying to University of British Columbia, you will see Master of Food Science. It will easily click in your mind because your undergrad program was food science and technology, and you see Master of Food Science. You may check out the programs, the courses that are going to be taught under. They may align with what you've been learned before or not. And someone else who has studied, say, biotechnology, some of the courses they've done under biotechnology might be the exact course content of a food science program at University of British Columbia. So don't let the generic name used for each program deceive you in any way. Just do the background work and check out the modules that are going to be taught under that program. Check if they align with your academic background and see if what you're going to learn would align with your unique vision. That's it.
Thank you so much for the explanation. So let us go to the comment section now. We have a question here. What do you mean by answering question not in essay format? That's the question. Can you
Okay.
explain better? That's the question.
So, like I said, at the time I applied for Mastercard Foundation in 2019, there was no, I can't remember seeing any disclaimer here in this case that your personal statement do not have to be in essay format. So in my case, I put out my personal statement in the best way I thought I should. This year, if you are going to put out your personal statement, they've said your essay, your personal statement should not be in essay format. In my own case, if I was applying this year, what I would do is to go online and type writing personal statements and put the disclaimer there just like the way it is, not in essay format, or writing personal statement that not in essay format, or saying writing personal statement for admission without writing in essay format. You need to do the work by yourself. I can't I can't use my mouth to summarize what you are supposed to do in 1,500 words. So if they say do not write it in essay format, you might need to dig deeper and see online and see if there have been any personal statement that have been written that are not in essay format. As far as I know, I wrote my personal statement in a way that I was telling my own story. So when you are writing essay, sometimes it's just like you're just you're writing out your mind. This When they are saying essay format, they want to relate with your story. That's one thing they want to do. Your Mastercard application is you telling your story. They say, in my own case, 2019, they said, who are you, or what reflects who you are? They want to know about you. They don't want you to be describing a random person you have seen their template on the internet. So it should be telling your story. It should feel like this is what you have gone through. This is what you are currently doing. If they say your community involvement, you should be able to describe your unique community involvement before now or right now. You should be able to tell something, not just that you're just writing the way you've seen it online. Like online says, when you're writing for community involvement, you just have to be in this format. Again, do the background work. You're the one applying for scholarship. They say there's a proverb that there are literal meaning in English language is that if you are going to take honey from the rock, you don't check the mouth of your axe, which means you have to put in more energy. You don't mind how sharp your axe is. You just have to dig deep until you find that honey inside the rock. So you're applying for the scholarship. I would say applicants, do the work.
Say it in Yoruba.
ẹni tó bá máa jẹun inú àpáta kì í wẹnu àké. So that's the word. So if you're going to take honey from the rock, you don't have to see how blunt or sharp your axe is. You just have to put in the work until you get the honey. That's it.
Yeah. So next question. If a scholarship and the person is resumed in August, but he finished service in October, what advice do you have for the core member?
I lost you for a minute. Oh, sorry, for a second or so. So I'm not sure what your question was at the start.
Okay. So the question, if a core member got the scholarship and the person is to resume in August, but the service finish in October, what is your advice for the core member? That's the question.
Interesting. You know, you determine your priority at each point. So let me address this to the global audience. The person asked core member. So in Nigeria, after your bachelor's degree or after your tertiary education, you go for National Youth Service. So you serve as a core member in this case. So it's a 1-year program, and the person was saying if you haven't completed your 1-year program, say there is at least 2 months or 3 extra months to complete your 1-year program, and you have to travel for your master's degree at the University of British Columbia in August, that what should the person do? So there's the word in English language called priority. So when you prioritize which one, Mastercard is not a Nigerian scholarship, so they won't give you the chance to resume your Mastercard will not give you the chance to resume your scholarship later because you are trying to finish your program in October. That's number one thing you should know. So you can't make any arrangement with Mastercard in this case. In Nigeria, as far as I understand, you can always serve your country if you wish to at any point. Your aim is to get the discharge certificate. So if you want to complete the 1 year, Mastercard is not going to tie you back in Canada. Your statement says they're looking for people who make development impact in Africa. So if your aim is get a degree in UBC, return to Nigeria and make your impact, yeah, you can go ahead. So in this case, the simple answer is what's priority to you? Completing completing your NYC now and losing your Mastercard opportunity and reapplying next year, or going for your Mastercard and returning to Nigeria to make impacts in your country. I think that's the summary of my answer. Because Mastercard surely will not defy your opportunity because you need to finish your NYC. That's it. Did I lose Kudrat? Okay. Currently, Kudrat's screen is frozen. Okay, she left the call, so I'll wait for her to reconnect. When she reconnects, then we continue from there. I also have the question from the YouTube
I
section.
think the person asked, when is the deadline? I think the person have not started yet. So when is the deadline? I'm not sure. Are you aware of the deadline, Ola?
Uh, for year 2024, October 31st would be the deadline. It's on the website. So I see that the application page is on the YouTube comment section as we speak. So if you click it, just scroll towards the end of the web page, you'd see that it's underlined. October 31st, it's in bold and underlined. So again, when you state deadline here, there are two deadlines. As I mentioned, there are two applications for you to make, which means there are two deadlines. Your program has its own deadline. So if I'm applying for Master of Food Science, I need to check University of British Columbia website and see that as an international student applying for Master of Food Science, when is the deadline for my program? No, don't assume that if you have a friend applying for Master of International Forestry and their deadline is January 6th, 2025, don't assume that's the deadline for applications. Your application might be January 5 or January 3, 2025. So you must be you must do the work to make sure you find out when the deadline of your program is. So don't assume in this case. But for the Mastercard application itself, deadline is October 31st, 2024. You're still muted. Kudrat, you're muted. Can Kudrat hear me? She's muted.
Hello?
Hi, I'm here.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So I need more clarification on Mastercard thesis-based program. What can you say about the research-based program?
Okay, so this year you have 8 programs that will be sponsored by the Mastercard at UBC. Thesis-based would mean you are studying for a degree where you have to carry out a primary research. Almost every program has a form of project where you have to submit a dissertation, but your dissertation can either be thesis-based or non-thesis-based. So if you're, in my case, I studied Master of Land and Water Systems. It's a non-thesis-based program, but I had a major project where I had to carry out a secondary research. So the research had been carried out, but I still had to do some literature review and come up with a dissertation. Now, for thesis-based program this year, the only thesis-based program I've seen this year is Master of Science in Forestry. Usually, most of the programs are 1-year program, 9 months sometimes, 8 months. I think 9 months, 10, 11, 12 months. For thesis-based program, they are usually 2 years. So when for the thesis-based program, you are carrying out an actual primary research, like the research you did in your undergrad level. So that's the kind of research you are expected to carry out for your thesis-based program. You are carrying out a unique research. In my own case, I was carrying out a major project, but it would be the literature review of other people's primary projects. So that's the difference.
Network is messing up. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
I said you've not talked about the need for supervisor for the research based.
Okay, maybe I missed that earlier. So for research programs or for every other program, you don't need to be assigned a supervisor. You just go ahead and apply for your admission process. For the thesis-based program, you need to have contacted a supervisor in the program that is going to be hosting you for your thesis, and the supervisor should have accepted to be your research supervisor or your program. In this case, UBC would mostly call it your research advisor. So one of the, I think I just lost Kudirat again. So I will have to pause my answer until she's reconnected to the live stream. Sorry.
So the last question we have here. Hello?
Go ahead.
I can't see you.
I have you on my screen. I don't know what
Okay.
screen.
Application fee waiver. Okay. We have a question here. Is it before or after you have been selected for the scholarship or during the application? The person is referring to the application fee waiver. That's the last question.
Okay. So application fee waiver is to the admission committee. So as far as I know, your scholarship application comes first. You submit the application package to the Mastercard Foundation. And if your country is not part of the 50 least developed country, you request, the moment you are done submitting your application and they've acknowledged that they've received the application package, you go ahead immediately to request for application fee waiver. So you don't have to have been selected. Again, Mastercard selection usually comes out probably in March of the following year. Your program application is going to close in January or even December of this current year. That's why I say you have to do the work to make sure you know when your academic program that you are aiming for is going to close. The admission is going to close at UBC. So you are requesting for the application fee waiver right after submitting your application package to the Mastercard Foundation. In this case, not before, not after you have been selected. You are going to probably get your selection much later in March or April next year. Your application fee waiver would come in probably in November or October, depending on when you have submitted your complete application package.
For both the admission and the scholarship, is there any point where we have interview?
Okay, so let me run through the process again. The first stage, I think we're getting to the end of the interview. So the first stage, there is a place where you assess your eligibility. There's a unique link. You fill out certain information about yourself, about your academic background and the program you're aiming for, your economic background as well. Mastercard gives you a response. It's more like a survey link. So you are filling out a survey, so to say. Then Mastercard gives you a response. You would have put in your email. So Mastercard is going to give you a response that go ahead and apply for scholarship, that you're eligible to apply for the scholarship. After you submit your complete application package, attaching all your documents, sending it to Mastercard. Then you go. Then in this case, after sorry, after you have submitted your application package to Mastercard, and if you qualify for fee waiver, you get a fee waiver. If you don't qualify, you request for it, then you go ahead to apply for admission. Much later in either late February or somewhere early March, depending on when Mastercard decides, you get a response from Mastercard that you have been selected for an interview. At that point, if you don't get any email from Mastercard, when others start getting email that they've been selected for an interview, if you don't get any email for an interview invite, you probably haven't been selected. And when you get to the interview stage, that's not the final selection stage. So not everyone who gets to the interview stage would be selected. In this case, after the interview stage, then they'll make the final selection and reach out to the Mastercard scholars, the eventual Mastercard scholars. But now, at this point, if any of the Mastercard scholars decline, say they have a better offer somewhere else, or for any reason they don't want to travel again, maybe they change their mind. In this case, what would happen is they probably say they've had in mind that we must sponsor 20 people this year, and they've selected 20 people and someone declines. What happens is that they will go into the pool of people who have been interviewed and pick out one of the people who had been declined initially. So in this case, you can't tell who they are going to select. They might say they need 6 people for this program at every opportunity this year. If one of the people decline, and there's another program where they've had only one awardee, they might go to the same pool and select someone at the interview for that same 6 programs, for that program where they selected 6 people. Whereas there's still another program where there's only one scholar. So it's up to the selection committee to determine who they are going to replace whoever declines an award with. You never can tell. So someone might decline in a different program and they select someone for a completely different program, while they might replace the person with someone else in the same program. It's just up to the selection committee. And after that, you prepare to be a Mastercard scholar. You start getting communication from there.
Thank you so much for the explanation, sharing your experience and other people's experiences as well. I think we have come to the end of the session. If you have no further question, let me check the comment area again. I think we've answered all questions. Thank you so much, Olaoluwa Igbalajobi from UBC from Canada. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and the effort. And our listeners, wish you the best in your scholarship application journey. Do not forget to share and subscribe. It can be beneficial to so many people. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Bye.